Okay, welcome back. So here we are. Um, the image looks fine on the camera. Hopefully it actually does look fine on the screen here. So I'm just going to back off a bit. Well, I'm as backed off as far as it can. I can only go in. So we're going to take a little tour here. I was just kind of looking at what do we have to work with besides some nose hairs and stuff from who knows what else. Let's see, get a little closer. So for disassembly on these things, the highest part here is the ratchet wheel bridge. And we got a screw here and a screw here. Look at that. That's interesting. I just realized that what I thought was a single blade on these ratchet wheels, look at that. There's 3 blades here and 3 here. Talk about catching a tight grip on these ratchet wheels. You can now see the pivots, not the pivots, the marks on the edge of the wheel here, and how these grab the wheel so that it can move appropriately. Look at that. I can't hear it, but I can sure see it. So for disassembly here, we are going to probably start with the ratchet wheel bridge. We have something coming around the screw and into this hole. This is probably the other side of that spring. So we'll be mindful, as we are all mindful of taking springs off. I'm not sure if these are cracks or hair. Nope, those are hairs. Okay, all right. Well, there's a bunch of hair there. I'm going to let the ultrasonic take care of the hair. A lot of gunk around these pivots. So that's the highest thing here. This spring is really simple. This is just a little arbor that we can take that off of so we can release that spring. Next, on this elevation, on this medium platform, we got another screw here. Look at that, 15 to 41 inch strides. There's another one here. Presuming that is the same plate. This will be interesting because I don't see a screw there. How is that held on? Isn't that disgusting? Sometimes being a horologist is like, you know, like those videos you see of people removing earwax from a patient. Yeah, not too cool with that stuff, but that's just kind of what you run into when you work on watches. We're going to find out how that's attached, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's attached. I'm curious. Okay, it doesn't spin. There's no screw head on there. So it doesn't look like there's a lot holding this together. This is probably one of the feet from the dial, as there is another here. And there's something back there. I'm not sure what that is. Probably just an orientation tab. And this thing here in the center, this is a friction fitting, kind of like your canyon pinion. So we're going to gently pry that off. I can't remember if I have a Canon pinion puller or not. We'll see. So, you want me to keep talking, or shall we dig into this mofo? Let's do it. Okay, now rule of thumb, whether you're working on a steam locomotive or a pocket watch, use the appropriate tool. It's not always helpful to improvise or to go a size up or low. When you're taking off a screw, use a screw head that's the same size, okay? Get good fit, good purchase, and it's always going to lead you in the right direction, okay? Boy, I'm kind of surprised how tight that is. It could be just the oil. So, I'm looking at the watch, but did we lose you on the screen here? Okay, there we go. So I usually don't look at the screen while I do this work, but okay, so that goes in the parts tray. I am going to release the power from the spring here. Yep, that has airborne potential, if you ask me. Okay. Okay, now I'm just going to get on here, twist it away. Okay. Get in the screen so you can see. Okay, up. Got some movement there. Now, we got this. This is well attached to the screw. That's fine, but I am going to grab another pair of tweezers here just so I can, you know, get these one part at a time. I don't want anything to go flying. Okay, we're almost there. It's like brain surgery, man. Not quite. Pocket watches and things this size are quite large. All right. All right. That goes in the parts tray, and I'm not going to say what just happened, but you saw it. Give me 1 second here. There's that spring. Fortunately, it went right on to my t-shirt there. Of course, I'm not going to tell you if I had to go through every single grain of sand in the cat litter box with my tweezers, but no, that did not happen. I'm just kidding. So what else we got here? Well, now we have this bridge to take off. Okay, so now this looks like it is, what is this here? Okay, oh, look at the entire assembly is coming out. I love when that happens, but that's okay. We're doing exploratory surgery, and this wasn't a lot of money, so, okay. That's a lot to come out at once. That was awful. Okay. So, I don't like prying with stuff like this, but I think we got it. Okay, all right. Let's see what we got underneath here. Okay, this reminds me of the wheel right under the dial of a pocket watch. And boy, let's see. That's pretty much all together. How are these springs held in there? You know what? Is that just like a friction fitting? Let's see if we can zoom in on this. Oh, is that too much? Okay. That's interesting. That's an interesting kind of fitting there. Interesting. So it does look kind of like the friction fitting, like we're not going to pull that out, but it might have been hammered in place. But can you imagine hammering that in place and keeping those 3 springs aligned like that? So I don't usually see stuff like that. That sure is interesting. What in the world is this? Oh, that's just that's not sticking out. That's the punch they applied to this brass pin to get that to stay fixed. So there's nothing really to disassemble on this thing. We have moss, like we're in Canada. So who knows what that is? I don't even want to know about the biology that people find inside of clocks and watches. I want to say I'm sure this comes off. No, look at that. So this is staked. This is probably a force, like a friction fitting. And there's just enough movement here. They didn't really make these to be serviced, did they? That's just kind of there, and that's just kind of there. Okay, so we have, let's bring this back out. We have a pendulum. We have springs, pendulum bob, pendulum, ratchet wheel bridge, and a ratchet wheel, all in one assembly. I'm not a fan of that, just as far as, you know, taking things apart, but all right, it's going to be cleaned as one, which means it's going to have to be dried quite well, so that we don't have water sticking around in those moving parts there. So this is what we have underneath that ratchet wheel, which obviously engages with this wheel here. I'd be curious to see what that is. I am sorry to say that in order to get to the next plate, we're going to have to take this friction fitting off. I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. So, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit more taut pair of tweezers. Maybe I'll get my brass ones, and or you know what? Maybe the nylon ones will work. And see about it does have a hole inside there, but it is a friction fitting. Okay. Boy, that center arbor does look a little rusty. You know, I could probably put some denatured alcohol in there and loosen that up. As long as it does not, oh, there we go. Good, I did it without bending that pivot. As long as it doesn't sink down, because we have not, you know, I'm gonna see if I could take the dial out too. Okay, so that goes there. let me get my case opener and see if we can get this bezel off. Okay, all right, here we go. I'm not worried about touching this with my bare hands because it's really disgusting. Okay, it's sort of cracked. You know, cracked open. Okay, here we go. Great. So there's the bezel. And it's just got a plastic. You know, that's not glass. Of course, we're not going to put mineral glass on something like this. We're going to pause and move on to the next.